Michiko and Hatchin, episode 10, the Carnival of Hyenas. Now, last week I kind of mentioned in my review that it would be interesting if this episode it was solely based on Michiko, since the last one was based on Hatchin, and this one actually was, and it was very different than what I was expecting. It was, solely based on Hatchin, but at the same time, it kind of didn't have that much to do with her. It was really about Satoshi and Hiroshi more than anyone else. It was about like pretty much everyone around Michiko when she was growing up and what they're dealing with right now. And Hiroshi, they kind of put it out there that he might actually be alive for real, like from someone else, and it's not just it's Michiko just wants him to be alive and that's it. Now it's from Satoshi's point of view, himself. It's like he said he saw his body, but then it's like he didn't actually see his body, and he doesn't know where he is or who the person was that was for whatever reason said to be Hiroshi. But it was a cool episode. Like, I thought that was cool. That was one of my favorite parts because it does kind of give that hope that he is actually alive, especially, coming from his former best friend. And then we had a lot of other cool stuff. We had, like, a lot of great flashbacks with Satoshi and Hiroshi when they first met, and with Hiroshi when he was actually leaving the group, and it turns out that his mission was to find this guy who was already dead, and we actually get like a big answer as to who killed this one guy that went missing, and it was Satoshi, and it was his plan the whole time to just make things kind of go crazy. But things kind of went a little bit south when Michiko joined the picture, and she kind of went and tried to beat up that one guy, and it kind of threw the plan off. So she got arrested, and things kind of went a little bit further than expected, and it wasn't just, all right, these guys will kind of fight it out, I'll end up on top. It became sort of this big, crazy bloodbath in a sense, and that's how everything played out the way it did. Like, he lost, his best friend, and, seemingly dead, but not really dead. He's just out somewhere in the world. And it was just really cool. It was nice to see those flashbacks. We also got to see like the guys who own the bar. The guy like really like two little puffballs for hair, which I thought was really funny. But we got little flashbacks to some of the other characters, and we, like I said, we got the answer as to who actually killed the one guy, and it was Satoshi, so he could end up on top. We got to see young Satoshi and his weird obsession with like pubes and being an adult and stuff like that. I don't know why, but that was just funny. It was weird when he asked a little kid, and then when he was a kid, he even asked Hiroshi when he first met him. And I was like, what is his obsession with just like pubes and stuff? It was funny, but it was really cool. It was cool to see how they actually met each other, and how Hiroshi actually wasn't the one that really did anything. Like, he kind of had that plan, but he never went like at all to begin with, and he was never really going to go through with it. But Satoshi did. He was the one who had that plan to take everybody out, and that's what happens. And he even goes back to attack basically the old boss, who was at one point going to chop his feet off. And it was just really interesting. I don't know, I guess the guy had like an aneurysm or something, like when he was freaking out, and he just dropped dead. I don't know how all that blood came out of him, because it was like he fell, but it was almost like he got shot up or something. And there was just blood like all under him, like he was just bleeding from his every pore on his body or something. So I'm like, I don't know how there's that much blood after he just fell down, but I guess he had like an aneurysm and stuff. I'm assuming that Satoshi didn't actually kill his wife and child. I don't know. Like, that kind of just goes away. Like, they're not in the house at the end. The guy dies, and that's really it. Like, there's no, the cops don't even find them inside the house or anything like that when they're searching through. So there's really no definitive answer. It's just they aren't in the house, I guess, and they're just gone. They're just not in the rest of the episode, and that's it. So I don't know if Satoshi actually killed them or not. I don't think he did. Just based off his character, it didn't seem like he would kill the innocent people. It seemed like he was going to kill his former boss, though, because the guy was going to kill him as like a little kid. So I think that was his plan anyway, but it didn't exactly go the way he expected it to. But he did take those two cops down when they were chasing him. Like, he just turned around in that field and he just shot two cops dead and kept going. So I'm sure we'll see him again. And then, like, all of his violence and stuff. Like, Michiko getting beat up in this episode, I honestly didn't understand at first. And I don't think I understood until Satoshi finally talked about the story and explaining, like, if you hadn't done what you did, everything would have worked out perfectly. Like, we'd probably all be, like, best friends and everything would be fine, but you went crazy, and now my buddy's dead, and you kind of threw everything out of whack. Like my whole plan was messed up because of you, and that kind of made sense. Finally, like towards the end of the episode, why he was like kicking Michiko and stuff. Because I'm like, I thought they used to be friends. Even if it was just through Hiroshi, it was like they're okay with each other. I didn't understand why like his like the lackey guy who gave Michiko the gun because he wanted to kill him. I didn't understand why he like beat her up and tied her up and stuff, and then when she got to him, to Satoshi, he like slapped her as soon as she was on the ground and stuff, and I was like, I don't understand why they're all beating her up. I thought that they were like she was a part of the gang, well, sort of, I guess, but I'm like I thought she was a part of the gang and everything was fine, and it was just like they're beating her up the whole episode. It was really weird to me until he finally explained that. It still doesn't really make too much sense for the lackey, but it was probably like, don't kill her, but do whatever you want, and that probably came from Satoshi, and so in that sense, it would make sense. But it was really confusing for most of the episode. I'm like, I thought that everything was fine with them. Like, I know I guess he's not really in hiding, but I know it's hard to get in touch with the leader of the gang, because, you haven't seen him in years, and he's off doing whatever as the leader of the gang. But I'm like, I thought that it would just be like, all right, let's meet up somewhere secret because I don't want to get found out, and they would just talk. And it was like, nope, she's getting beat up, she's tied up, and she was thrown on a train, and then they got her off, and he's kicking her in the stomach and stuff. So that I wasn't expecting for this episode, but it was definitely a cool ending. I did enjoy getting to see the cop, her cop friend, finally come back into the show, and she got a lead, and Satoshi was gonna get money from her, and she actually made a real deal with him. And then her partner is like, I called for backup and stuff because I'm tired of dealing with you because I don't want to get demoted. I got a family, I got mortgages and stuff, and that was just really interesting. I thought she was kind of gonna shoot him, or he was gonna shoot her at the end, but I guess it wasn't that crazy. But she did kick him in the nuts, and he was down for the count for a bit. And she whipped out like a crazy crossbow. I wasn't expecting her to have like a crossbow gun, like some Resident Evil type stuff with the crossbow. But she had that for whatever reason as her backup weapon. And they just have to run through the cornfield, and she actually lets Michiko go, which was probably my favorite scene after Michiko runs, and you can just see her standing in the field. You see like maybe like just a little bit below her shoulders going up to her head. I thought that was just a cool shot. It just looked really nice to me. And it was very surprising that she actually let her friend go. But I loved it. I thought it was a great moment for this episode. Probably, like I said, my favorite. It was definitely, visually, it was definitely my favorite. But, it was also just a cool moment in general. Because this whole thing has been her trying to get Michiko, especially after all the dialogue and stuff. It's like, we finally have her. We also have Satoshi, who she wasn't going after because they are cool. But after everything that was said, like, we're going to eventually just be giving out, parking tickets and stuff. It'd never been brought up before, and that's when she decided to actually let Michiko go. So it meant a lot more than any of the other times where it's just like, I was chasing you and then I let you go. It's like, all this stuff was said about how they've screwed up so many times, and yet this was the time she chose to just let her go ahead. So I thought that was a pretty significant scene for their characters, as far as their relationship as adults compared to pretty much every other scene they've been in as adults where they've been punching and biting and kicking each other. So very different, very nice little moment, aside from when as soon as she saw her, she's like, your face looks like crap. So it was pretty nice, and she did most of the dialogue. I wish I could think of her name, but I can't. But she did most of the dialogue, and it's like, you just messed up. She knew she was holding an empty gun, and it's like, you're obviously desperate, so I'm gonna give you this moment despite what I should be doing. I'm gonna give you this moment, and I'm just gonna let you go. So I like the way that it ended. It was very interesting, and I don't know how things are gonna transition into the next episode, if it's gonna pick up with them running, and maybe somehow in this field Satoshi and Michiko actually run into each other again, which probably wouldn't be too good because I would assume he's gonna try to kill her, maybe. I mean, I know he was getting the money, but I don't know, he doesn't exactly have, a lot of goodwill towards her. Like, that's why he sold her out to begin with. So, not sure if that's how it's going to play out, or if it's going to go back to Michiko or something, or when they're gonna end up together. But I definitely enjoyed this one. I liked it. I really enjoyed the last one, but I really love this because we got to see so much backstory, and it wasn't just Michiko's backstory. It was like Satoshi's backstory, and Michiko was really just in the first flashback because she's obviously one of the main characters. But it was really about Satoshi and Hiroshi and how they met, and Satoshi like was really the main character of this episode, and how he grew up from this little kid, and how his connection with Hiroshi, what it was, and how Hiroshi became like his right hand man just through a simple little silly thing, and how he actually helped him when he was a little kid and he saved his life. And that's really all the flashbacks. They don't even go into like when they're older and he's actually doing any of this stuff. It's just like them as little kids, which is really all we've seen. It's either really young Satoshi or adult Satoshi, like in the present. That's all we've seen. There was never like a young adult Satoshi when he was like one of the underlings or anything like with Hiroshi and Michiko. It's just like either he's a little kid or he's the leader right now, and that's all we have. And there's this big gap of what he was really doing in that time frame. Although we obviously get the actual truth in this episode, but I really enjoyed it. I'm excited for the next episode. Not sure how it's going to go with sort of the back and forth between a Michiko episode and then a Hatchin episode. But I'm excited either way. This was definitely a really good one, and it was surprisingly less focused on either of the main characters. I mean, obviously Michiko had to be in it, but it was definitely Satoshi's story in this one, and I really enjoyed that. It was a nice bit of unknown backstory on a character that we really knew. I think we knew the least about Satoshi, and now we know probably the most out of any of the characters, aside from, probably Hatchin, because she's only like 9 or 10 years old, so she hasn't really done that much except live with that crappy family from the first episode, the priest and his family. That's pretty much her backstory. That's it. She's only 9 years old. And everyone else is like, Michiko was in prison. We got a little bit of that in her stuff with Hiroshi. Hiroshi, we really don't have anything on except for the times he was with me, with Michiko. And that's really it. So now we have all this info on Satoshi. He was the one with the plan. Him as a little kid. How he almost got killed. And all this other stuff. So it was definitely nice to get a great amount of backstory on a character that we didn't really know anything about. And like I said, I'm excited for the next one. But of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, least favorite parts. And what do you guys think of Satoshi and his backstory and his near-death experience and him meeting Hiroshi, who definitely, or I guess I should say, Hatchin definitely looks like Hiroshi. And it's obviously easier, but that does happen in real life where you could grow up and then you look like the younger version of your parent, like almost exactly, and that's exactly, it's so similar, but I just love the way that they did that. It wasn't like a full-on carbon copy, like this is Hatchin and this is her young Hiroshi, and they're exactly the same. But they did that perfectly. I just thought it looked really funny, and he had basically similar clothing too, because Hatchin pretty much wears like the tank top clothing most of the episodes, and it was like it's just even more similarities through clothing. So I like that. It was like he really, really looks like her because he has shorter hair when he's older. Like he has more hair, but he's not like a little kid, so it doesn't look like it does with Hatchin when she's little. It's like her hair is just huge, it seems. But when he's younger, it's like it kind of balances out where it just looks like a lot of hair. So I like, I like that. I thought it looked pretty cool. Like I said, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode and Satoshi's backstory and really getting to know him and how he was the one who really set things in motion. Like he blamed it on Michiko, but really, if he didn't kill the guy, I think things would have kind of worked out okay. Like, they would have had some issues talking, I'm sure. But, he killed the guy to get out on top. That's kind of on him, even, making the plan in general to kill all the people off and have this happen. Kind of definitely on him more than it is on Michiko and just her craziness. But I want to know what you guys thought. So, like I said, please comment below, let me know. And thanks for watching.